Today is a little bit different than everyone is used to. And my voice sounds different than your normal host because our host, Anna Casey, is in the guest seat today, and we're going to ask her some questions. I'm so excited. I am Anna's sister-in-law, Liz Brand, and I am just so excited to interview Anna today because I've had my own sort of burning questions. So I can only imagine what everyone else feels with wanting to know more about Anna. So for me, just to start out, Anna is truly a best friend, an emboldening presence in my life and for so many others. She is someone from my view who consistently makes the brave and right choices, even if they are hard, to have the life they desire as a family, even if it takes time and especially when it takes time. She is a massive inspiration to me and a partner in motherhood and adventure. If you know her, you love her, and she is the reason you all are listening to this podcast. So without further ado, here is your host in the guest seat today, Anna Casey.
I'm crying. Wow.
I love you so much.
I'm already crying. Thank you, Liz.
I'm so glad to have you on here as the guest because, every time you have a guest on, for one, you do such a good job of making them feel seen and prepared and asking such wonderful questions. And so I'm so excited to flip the script and have you on here and ask you some questions. So,
Well, thank you, Liz. I was not prepared for that. And I feel a little bit nervous being on this side because I'm just so used to being on the other side that now I'm like, this is like equally as scary. So yeah.
Well, I feel scared being on this side. It's like I've got to drive the conversation, ask the right questions. Oh, I love it so much. So I want to transport us back to a very early trip that we took as siblings. We took a sibling trip to Iceland.
Yes.
And I want to transport us back to that time and a particular drive that we were on, just you, Nate, me, and Griff, and we saw a rainbow in the background, and we all jumped out of the car and took a picture with that rainbow in the background. It was just so reminiscent of our relationship as a couple and as friends.
Yeah.
And right before that, you guys were the only ones. We had jumped into this like hot springs on the side of a volcano in Iceland, and you guys were the only ones like willing to do it with us. And then we all ran down the side of the mountain in the rain and got completely soaked. And anyway, we were on this drive back and we saw a rainbow in the distance and we all hopped out of the car and took a picture. But that was kind of, for one, it was an epic trip for us, but it was kind of a moment that you guys made the decision for Nate to enter the military, or at least around that time. And you guys already were doing very well in your respective careers as much as you can straight out of college. But it's just debatable. Like,
yes.
It's
very generous.
It just kind of takes me back to some of the early days of you and Nate starting out and some of the like decisions that you had to make. So I don't know, maybe you can go back and kind of think about how that felt at the time and how was it for you making that decision? Because that was one of my number one questions was, is Anna up for this? Like, is she okay with making the switch to military life?
Yeah. Whew. Okay. Well, first off, I still feel like I'm recovering over here from the intro. But oh my gosh, that is such a special memory. I need to print out that picture of all of us in front of that rainbow. It just felt so magical and like you're with your people and there's nowhere else you'd rather be in the world and you're having fun and like doing what you love to do. And so I love that memory. And yeah, it was on that drive when particularly Nate was sort of wrestling with like, do I do this? Do I not do this? I know that I want to join the military in some capacity, but just not, it's a leap when you've already started your career doing something else to completely shift gears and enter a whole nother world that takes a lot of effort because it's not the default, right?
And it's a long process, like years for you guys to
Yeah.
get to the point of him actually being in the job he was meant to be in.
Yeah. But thankfully, the very first time, Nate and I kind of have a long story, but the very first time that we talked, like seriously, like I reached out to him and I was like, I want to. For those that don't know, I like put my claws in Nate. I like I reached out to him.
No, not at all. Not at all.
After we had known each other for a little while, and I just kind of laid my cards out on the table and I was like, I like you. I liked you this whole past summer when we were in South Africa together. That's like this is a whole other story of how Nate and I met. But
okay, for the record, Nate was interested in you. And then when he went on that trip, he thought you didn't like him.
Yep.
And so he was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. We did not pay enough attention to each other for those questioning. I'll just do a very high level version. But Nate and I met actually in South Africa, which is hilarious and so cool because we were both doing the same program in college and a summer in college. So he went through his school in North Carolina and I went through my school in Texas. And so we got to meet in South Africa as we were on the same mission/service team there. And so anyways, fast forward and it is months after this trip and I could not stop thinking about Nate. And every single date that I went on, I was comparing these guys to Nate. Well, Nate wouldn't do this. And, remember that time that Nate said this? And I bet Nate wouldn't do it, wouldn't handle it this way. And so that was my sign for me that I was like, I need to reach out because it's 7 months later, we haven't talked one-on-one and I'm still comparing people to him. Like he is my standard.
And as a person, not even as a relationship. It was like,
yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah, he had just made such a profound like impact on me of what it could look like. Oh my God, I'm gonna survive.
I meant so much. We love Nate.
I was not prepared for this.
We love Nate.
He had just shown me what it could look like to be a picture of, like, not to be cheesy, but a picture of manhood that I really hadn't seen before that was very secure, a picture of a leader, a picture of someone who is just a genuinely, like, down to their bones, a good person. And yeah, so I'm mesmerized.
Oh my gosh.
I need to get together. But yeah, so when I reached back out to Nate to like sort of like pursue him or see if there was something there, he let me know that he had a crush on me too that past summer and that he
of course
liked me
he did.
too. So, I was like screaming, running around, the house that I lived in with the girls that I lived with. I had my mouth guarded at night. I had my hair up. You know the picture, you had your glasses on. I was like tucked into bed and I just start screaming. And my housemate, Abby, came running in. And of course, I had already talked to her about Nate. But I go, Nate likes me. Nate likes me. And she was like, oh my gosh. And so it's like screaming and jumping up on my bed. But all that to say, when we started talking, he laid it out on the table.
Wow. I don't think I knew that was that early.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he laid it all out the very first time that we talked. So I told him I'm not having 12 kids. And he told
Fair.
And he told me I'm joining the military. So he actually told me that and I could see the way that he was passionate about it, that it was something that like a calling that he felt like God had placed on his life. And it was deep and it was real. And so I knew from the very beginning that that we would be doing that. And so I didn't question it at all. I gave him the green light because I have family in the military. And so, of course, you can't know what it's like until you're in it. But yeah, I had just known. And so fast forward, we both graduate, we get married, and he's working and I'm working. And yeah, I just knew it was coming. So I was just prepared.
You're like, at what point are we doing this thing?
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, yeah, that was I remember that being my first question because like I knew from knowing you that you would do like you would be amazing in it.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
thank
with all
you.
the changes and transition and like community building
Mhm.
and all these things, your personality and just who you are was like very well suited for it, which not everyone can say. Like it's not an easy life to lead. So yeah, it was just cool to see your confidence in making that decision. And even though Nate
Mhm.
was, I think he was probably more waffling on like which direction do I go and like at what point do I make this change.
Well, right, and
But
there's so many options, there's so many
there are.
variations, and that can be paralyzing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just so cool that you guys were so very much on the same page and then pretty much jumped headfirst
Yeah.
into that life. Well, I'd love to, and we can kind of like jump around here, but I'd love to, knowing what the military life entails, I'd love to kind of ask you a little bit of like how you've approached. Okay, back up. I view you as someone who has built a life that holds people. And I think a lot of people would agree with me in that. And I'm always amazed at how you do that in the military life because you're picking up, you're moving, you're placed
Mhm.
into like a whole new community. You have to figure out your healthcare, you have to figure out your like where you're going to live and who are your friends and what are you going to do and like
Mhm.
even professionally and all these things that are just life gets thrown at you multiple times, multiple changes. How do you go through the process of building community and anchoring yourself when you have that happening all the time? I view you as someone who does that really, really well. And so I'm just curious
Aw.
how you approach it from your brain.
Well, thank you. That's a really good question. Yeah, so one thing that we have learned is that with every move, it's so important to dive in headfirst, full ownership, embrace everything about the place that you're in for what it is. Because if you don't, you're going to miss it because it's
Mm,
just so rapidly transitioning. And so, yeah, if you don't do it immediately and quickly and with everything that you have, then it's just going to pass you by. And so, one thing that we try to do is for us, we try to immediately find a church, right? Which we didn't, I'm going to take that back. That's not always the easiest because depending on where you live, there might be limited options.
limited options. Yeah.
But I'm speaking from where we live now. We did try to find our church really quickly and just dive in. And we both like serve in our church now on Sundays in different capacities. And then more important than that is like the community group aspect of whatever church or, faith organization that you're in is finding even that smaller group of people where you're meeting weekly so that you can like have those deeper relationships and that that rhythm of meeting with people weekly and asking hard questions. You want to find the people that are going to be there for you when crap hits the fan or
Hmm.
when you have the baby or the people that are actually going to show up to your house with food
Yeah.
and or create a meal train for you, right? And those kinds of people come in places where community is regular or where it's deep or intentional. And so that has come to us through church, but also through Slam is a huge one for
Oh,
me.
yes. I love that.
Yeah, not faith based, but we go and every single day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 10:30, we are meeting and working out and showing up with our hair in messy buns and whipping up with our kids in our strollers, and we're just getting out and getting outside and working out with our babies. And that's just something that has been like transformative, not only for motherhood, but for military spouse life, because they're also really popular in military towns. And so most places you go, they didn't have it in Arizona. because it's so transient. But most places you go, there's going to be a slam. And so finding one of those or
And for those who don't know, SLAM is it stands for Sweat Like a Mother, which
yes.
I just love that so much. I love when Nate joins you on some of the workouts. When they have like the
Yeah.
dad's day.
Yeah.
So cool.
Slad, sweat like a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. And with everything, it's not perfect, and no church is perfect, or no faith organization is perfect. No workout program is perfect, right? But you go for the people. And then I will say that one thing that I did early on in my military spouse days before I was even a mom, because when you're a mom, there's like honestly a lot more options for how
Yeah,
to
that's a
find
good
people.
point. That is a good point. I had my own version of that in Germany, but I'm excited to hear. I think I can guess what you're gonna say, but go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So early on, when Nate first joined, all of the military spouses are new to this too, right? But it is so special because a lot of us would be, having 9 to 5 jobs or working, or maybe not working, or maybe still in school or whatever. But there's still that deep need to meet people and get out of that loneliness. And so what I did was, starting in Columbus, actually probably around when I lived with Liz, was I
Surprise, we were housemates together. It was
yes.
I always tell people don't well, hopefully my other sisters are not offended by this, but you are my favorite housemate besides Griff. It was the best. It was so great. Both of our guys were like gone on training or deployment or something, and it was the best. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. That is a whole other thing too, with just how you guys being in the military was so instrumental for us, because we could ask you questions. I leaned on you so much.
I
Liz to
didn't
this
feel like
day
that at
still
all.
knows more about the military than I do.
Oh, I don't know
So,
about that. I don't know about that. We've had a very different experience because you've done it with kids. And
yeah.
we didn't do it with kids, so it's totally I mean, not totally different. A lot of things are the same, but yeah, I mean, just a lot more logistics. So you've put a lot more energy into that, which is a whole thing. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, but what I was gonna say is, so in those early days in, Fort Benning, Columbus, Georgia, so what I did was I just started inviting military spouses I would meet over for batch nights. So we would throw on The Bachelor, we'd have, pop some wine, have some appetizers, and we would all get together. And it's just such a great low effort way and casual way to meet people, because we're all looking for friends, we're all looking for something to do on those lonely evenings. But you don't have to talk the entire time, because you can
Yeah,
be
you
kind
don't
of
have to
like
small
watch the
talk.
show.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was just great. And I just found that most of the time people were eager to do it. Even if you didn't watch The Bachelor or Bachelor, or you weren't super into it, it was just like a fun way to meet people. And so that batch nights became our thing. And then rinse and repeat, when we moved to Clarksville, Tennessee, I did the exact same thing.
I love
I
it.
remember a time when I was like crying to Nate because I was so lonely. I was like, I don't have any friends.
We've all been there. 100%. Literally,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like I don't have a single friend here. But yeah, so one tip for this is just asking Nate, like, who are you clicking with at work? Who do you enjoy hanging out with at work? Can I get their spouse's phone number?
Oh,
So
that's a
just
great idea.
reaching out to people that you kind of have a nod in the right direction that these are going to be like normal people, right?
No, way out there. We've
Yeah.
met our fair share of way out there people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, just doing the same thing, and going first, not being afraid to go first.
Mm.
Everyone's looking for that community, so don't be afraid to do it. And yeah, it's just been great. It was a system that never failed me. So for anybody that doesn't
Oh,
have kids, there you go.
I love that. Yeah, there's your roadmap to creating community. I think that's the perfect line. Go first. I mean, no
Hmm.
matter if you're in the military or something else, if you're starting to feel lonely, you're starting to feel sad, like people aren't there for me, is to go first. I'm curious,
Yeah.
this isn't a question I sent you, but what has it required of you? Like what's the because I think a lot of us shy away from particularly maybe church communities or whatever,
Mhm.
because it's like, oh, what am I going to have to do? Like,
Mhm.
and what is it going to require of me? Do you feel like certain things have required more of you than others? And what are the things that is required of you when you're in those spaces? Or is it less than you expect?
I think I think the heavy lifting is the very first time.
Mm,
Um, the first time you go into a place is hard because you're new but you only have to be new once, and that's the beauty of it.
mm.
And then you just have to take that first step and show up the first time. And then after that, you're not new anymore. So
That's amazing. Oh,
that's my tip
I
for
love
that.
that. I love that. Um, I want to jump to kids here soon, but really quick before we go there, can you talk a little bit about the places that you've lived and the things you've loved, or like it's surprised you that you've loved about it, or learned about each one's? Well, maybe we stick to just military bases,
Yeah.
because you've also lived other places too. But yeah, you
Yeah.
maybe talk a little bit about the things that you've loved about each place, or the things that you've learned.
Yeah. So, like many or most people in the Army, we started off Nate's Army career in Fort Benning, Georgia. And so, what I loved about Fort Benning was you guys. That was
Oh,
so
that was so
special.
special.
Such
Can't
a
plan
gift.
that because the
Mhm.
chances that we were both there at the same time is pretty rare.
Yeah. Having family that was in the Army at the same stationed at the same place, like, it's just yeah, it was unbelievable. Loved the river walk in Fort Benning. Wasn't, like, my favorite place. Like, I don't think I'd be super excited to go back. I think one thing, though, that is cool about Fort Benning is how historic it is,
Mm-hmm.
because it's such an entry point. There's so much history there, like the museum there, the feel when you're on base there, driving through the historic houses. It's very cool to see yourself pinpointed in a long history of Army families, and so that is very special to Fort Benning. And then after that,
I'm so excited for that.
we moved to Fort Campbell, 101st Airborne Division in Clarksville, Tennessee. And yeah, so that was an hour outside of Nashville. We were pretty excited for this one because we thought we would be more on the outskirts of Nashville. But for us, it just wasn't that close. Like, it was like over an hour drive still. And that we had friends that would live in Nashville and stuff like that, but it just wasn't as big of an appeal for us. That was also a harder place for us because we are so outdoorsy that there weren't any
Mm.
mountains within like 3 hours of us, and so that was tough. But Nate particularly enjoyed, his unit there, and so he got to be kind of part of a historic unit there and do some great work there, and so that was cool. I mean, I don't know what else to say about Clarksville. It's kind of boring. A lot of
Yeah, I
people
know,
really like it,
but I feel like
but
you did such a good job there. You made some really like big decisions, and you started motherhood there. You
yeah.
had like a great um medical care with Emmy and all
Yeah.
of those things. And
That's
um
true. Great access to top-notch medical facilities in Nashville. We did do a good job finding a house that was on a greenway in
yeah.
Clarksville that we really, really enjoyed. I mean, we were out there all the time. And so even if you're not in a great place, knowing what you like if you like to be close to the energy and the downtown area, like, go do that. Make sure you do that. Or
Mm.
if you like to make sure that you want to be next to a greenway or parks or whatever, just really ruthlessly prioritizing being in an area that feels the most like you in that city, because it may not be the best city, but you can find a place to make it yours.
That's such good advice. I feel like you guys hosted a ton there. You would always have
Mhm.
people at your house for like pizza nights and all of those
Yeah.
things. It was mostly
We
like single guys who worked with Nate that kind of needed like a home or just
Yep.
connection. What you had like the fun uncles when
Uh-huh.
Emmy was born. They would come over and bring her gifts, and it was just the cutest thing.
Yeah, we
They're
had some
such
great
sweet guys.
neighbors. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so just being like, "Hey, come over. We're having spaghetti tonight. Come eat." You know,
that's awesome.
it doesn't have to be a crazy thing, just casual. Yeah.
I love that. And then, okay, one of the biggest surprises, Fort Huachuca, where you
Yes.
guys live. That
Oh my
was
gosh.
so cool. So cool. You just
Loved
hear
it.
when people talk about certain bases, like that is
Mhm.
not one that they're like, this is the best one ever. It just
Mhm.
doesn't come up as that. But that one was so
Oh my
cool to
gosh.
me.
We absolutely loved it. I mean, it was such a special place. You are dropped down smack dab in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, but the pinpoint, the pin on the map that you are, even though the outward radius of like 50 miles is like emptiness, the pinpoint where the base is high elevation up in the mountains with the absolute best view of Arizona. It is so unique. There's cougars and bears and rattlesnakes.
I know you were like texting me a picture of a bear like coming
Yes.
to the house that you were about to move into. I was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting.
Javelinas, you see javelinas every day, turkeys, deer. It's just such a cool place. So unique. And the pace of life there is very, very slow. But you still have things in the local town, like you still have the Target, you still have like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just such a unique and beautiful place. I mean, everybody that I personally know that has been through Fort Huachuca just adores it because also most of the people that are there for less intense things in their career or more courses and stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
the housing on base was great. We loved our house. And so Nate could just pop in every day for lunch. It was just such a special time. Yeah,
Yeah, it
lots
was
of
like a little
hiking.
pocket of just, yeah,
Mhm.
what you would imagine the slower family life stuff of you guys being out on the back porch, cooking on your Blackstone. And it was just
Mhm.
the coolest thing ever. And then you
Yeah.
moved to Seattle
Then we packed up and took a
or
cross
Tacoma.
country move to the Tacoma area in Washington, and we love it. We absolutely love it here. We are home. We are like, this is our place. If I could live anywhere in the world, anywhere in the US, it would be probably here. That's how much I
Okay,
love it.
that is amazing to me because,
Mhm.
like, is the seasonal depression stuff a real thing?
Mhm.
Like, I remember
Yep.
you talking about, like, I'm
That's
nervous about
real.
the rain, I'm nervous about the clouds and all those
Yep.
things. Like, is that real? But it's just worth it
Mhm.
because it's so nice.
Yeah, so before we moved here, everyone would tell us we went 4 months without seeing the sun. And okay, so that was my bar. But and that's true in the sense that like you from like November or maybe late October to mid-March, it is mostly overcast and it will rain almost every single day. The trick, and it kind of goes back to like fully owning the place that you're
Mhm.
in and embracing the place that you're in, was recognizing the beauty of it and getting outside even in that weather and having a we didn't actually do this, but it was kind of like a symbolic thing of like having your go kit. So when there was a sunny day during that time period, like you have your sunny day go kit, we're going, we're getting out in the sun. So,
That's amazing.
yeah, so like there was a day when it was a Sunday and the sun came out and we were on our way to church and we just like we're not going to church anymore.
Oh my
We
gosh,
are
that's
gonna
amazing.
go. We're
We're
we're beelining
pivoting.
it. Yeah, you have to. You have to embrace the sunny days. And yeah, it goes back to like when that season is over and the sun does start to come out, that feeling of like I've earned this. Like how it is right now, it is fantastic. Like
That's so
you
cool.
step outside and you feel like you are smelling a meadow on top of a mountain. That's how fresh the air is. So we just have our windows open all the time. It's like it's just so beautiful. You see Olympic driving into our neighborhood. You see Mount Rainier driving
Oh
out
my
of our
gosh.
neighborhood. It's
That is so
just
cool.
like, it's just the best. And then within a 3-hour radius, there's so much to do. Like you couldn't even go everywhere if you lived here for 10 years. There's just so much hiking and outdoor exploration and even shopping and places to go in Tacoma and the waterfront. So,
And it's so you guys, because you are, I mean, to me, peak adventurers. Like, you are at home in the mountains, and that is just so cool. I love that it's worth it. I love that the good things are worth the hard things, and that is such
yeah.
a picture of life in general for most people. That some of the best things in life are also very difficult. Speaking of the best things in life, I'm doing a hard pivot here. You have
Yeah.
two little girls who are the cutest
Yes.
ever. And I'd love to hear and weave in whatever other things you want to, because you have hauled these girls up the West Coast in a camper. You like just, I mean, they are the coolest girls, the chill.
Aw.
Maybe not always the chillest, but just like the best. And Mia's definitely that second kid,
Uh-huh.
chill side to her. But what has it been like going from 1 to 2 kids with the military lifestyle, with the moving, with all the things?
Yeah, so we were very fortunate in the fact that when I had Mia, my second, a year ago, we were in Fort Huachuca. So Nate had a very slow pace at his work. He was doing a course that, he was able to be home all throughout the day, like not all throughout the day, but in and out throughout the day. And so that's part of what made Fort Huachuca, Arizona so special for us, is because we got to bring home Mia in that little cocoon
Oh,
of peace out there in the Arizona desert. And
I love
so,
that.
yeah, I do recognize like how special that is, because a lot of spouses have their second when their husband is deployed or, gone or whatever. And so we have had a very fortunate situation where Nate has been able to be here throughout pregnancy, birth, and, her whole first year. One thing that I was reflecting on a lot is the difference in the hard between 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 has sort of knocked me off my feet a little bit. And 0 to 1, I feel like your whole world just changes.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, totally.
you become a mom, right? And that's like
Your
a
identity
whole
changes to a certain extent. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And so you're becoming a new version of yourself in like the most jarring and beautiful way, right? And so just everything about your life shifts to be a mom and to have a little one. And like the learning curve of everything, of having a baby. But then the hardest part of that for me was the loneliness that I
Mm.
experienced just having one baby. And I might be unique in this, but I just felt really, really lonely. Like, I look back on pictures when Emmy was a baby. I didn't have any sort of regular community when, the first 8 months of her life, as far as like having a slam or having a group of
Yeah, a
moms that I
mom
met.
community. Yeah.
Yeah, that I met regularly with. And I honestly don't know how I did it. Like, I think part of it was I was just so happy to not be working that I was like, it was like my own little cocoon of, oh my gosh, I just get to sit here with my baby, which is so special. But
Oh,
then that
it's so
quickly
special.
turned, I shouldn't say quickly, but that did turn into immense loneliness. And so, um,
I think
thankfully
that's
I
pretty
found,
normal because like you can't
yeah,
really you're not getting a whole lot of feedback from your baby. So it's just a different dynamic when it's your
yeah,
first like that. Yeah.
yeah. And then from 1 to 2 was just a different kind of hard. Like, I remember when it was time for Mia to be born, I was laying in bed in our house in Arizona, and I watched my mom and Nate. It was like a time lapse of like me laying in bed and like watching them do everything that I do in the house, like all the dishes, all the laundry, like like taking
It's
care
a lot.
of
Yeah.
taking care of Emmy as a 2.5-year-old is a lot of work, and then the baby. And I just remember this feeling like, oh my gosh, how the heck am I going to do all of this? Like,
With two
this is,
kids, and if Nate's gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, when he goes back to work, like, this is all on me. And just that feeling of like overwhelm. Like, I don't know how I'm
Mm.
going to be able to do this, which is cool looking back now because I'm being like, I am doing it, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah, you just do it.
yeah. And even just like the feeling of, I remember the first time that my mom had left, Nate had gone back to work, and it was the first time that I took both girls out of the house and to a little outing together. And I tried to rip the Band-Aid pretty quickly. It was probably, Mia was probably like 3 weeks old or whatever. But just the simple act of getting both kids in the car by myself
Oh,
and then both kids out of the car and into the stroller, I met up with a friend like a mile from my house because I wanted to keep it very low maintenance.
all
And
right.
I got there and I cried because I was like, this is so overwhelming. This is so hard.
And
um,
probably feels vulnerable, like trying to do
yes.
all the things at one time with two kids.
Yes. Like logistically in my head, it was such a new hurdle to be like, okay, how do I which kid is going to get in the car first? What am I going to do with the other kid while I'm putting this kid in the car? Because it's not like Emmy could like super, I mean, she was 2.5. So,
Yeah.
so that learning curve was more than I expected. But then I remember something just like rose in me where I'm like, I'm a mother effing mom of two. Like,
Yes.
I got this. Like
I love
I
that.
like I am the captain of the ship. I am in charge. Like I'm going to rise and freaking do this. Like it was just like this empowerment of like I'm in charge. Like
Mhm.
just leaning into that and then um yeah, I there's it's actually funny because there's a couple creators on social media that I follow. One of them is her name is Chan with the Boys, and I love her. And she's all about like getting out of the house with your kids. And I legitimately found so much empowerment from her watching her get out of the house with 4 boys every day.
That's incredible. It's really hard to imagine, but yeah.
Yes.
And
And
if you
so
get
just
out in the morning, like,
yeah.
you can really, yeah, change your whole day.
Yeah. So I think I just, got inspiration from other moms and I was like, I can do this. So but the second wave of hard things that has come with going from 1 to 2 kids is the emotional regulation that is required of me
Mhm.
is so much more intense than I ever expected. Like the feeling of the baby crying and losing it or getting hurt or whatever, and then the toddler crying or whining or needing something on top of that has
Oh,
just
I can't.
been
Yeah.
crushing in some ways. And so having to grow that self-regulation part in me has been a lot more than I expected. But all that to say, I would trade the hard any day because I would so much rather be overwhelmed than lonely.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, and that kind of goes back to a little bit of the intro. I feel you're such an inspiration to me because I feel like you very consistently will choose the harder, better path for you, knowing yourself. Like you just move forward in confidence of I know myself well enough to know I'm going to do this thing, even though it's harder.
Yeah.
It's better for us and for me in the long run, and that's something I've always admired about you, of just,
Oh.
like, I feel like you do the brave thing, that is best for you, no matter how that looks for anybody else. I don't, maybe you feel it internally, but I don't see you spending a ton of time comparing yourself to what other people are doing. Like, you had this amazing career. You were, running a bunch of things at a marketing agency, and you just like made the brave decision of like, I know this is important to me to stay home with my baby, so I'm going to make this harder, righter decision for me. Not that
Yeah.
that's for someone else, but it was
Right.
for you. And I just love that about you. It
Aw.
feels emboldening to me to make those same decisions for myself. Not
Aw.
the same decisions as you, but the same types of decisions for myself. And I just love that so much about you.
Thanks,
I feel
Liz.
like this could go on and on and on.
I know.
But we do need to end this here soon. And yeah, Anna, is there anything else that you'd like to leave people with? Obviously, you are going to continue your podcast and have so many more guests and so much more insight and tips and tricks. But is there anything that you want to leave people with before we sign off here?
Oh man. Yes. I would say that life is so much more beautiful and full with friends.
I love that.
And do whatever you can to surround yourself with the friends that are going to be there for you and the friends that are going to show up. And yeah, make the brave decision to go first and to put yourself out there to get those people in your life that are going to be there for you. Yeah.
Build a life that holds people and choose people
Mm,
that hold you.
yeah.
Oh,
Amen.
amen. Oh, I'm so glad you're one of my people.
Ditto.
You are such a big presence in my life. I'm so thankful for you. I'm so excited for people to have more insight into Anna Casey. And
Aw,
I just
thanks,
love you so
Liz.
much. And I listen to your podcast every week. So
Liz is
it's
my
like the
number
highlight of
one
my
fan.
Thursday. No, you got more than that. It's the highlight of my Thursday, highlight of my week. I love what you bring to people, the exposure that you give them to all the wonderful people in your life, and I'm just so excited. If you haven't, go to Anna's review section and write a review, please. But Anna, just love you so much. Thank you for doing this.
Love you, Liz. Thanks, sister.